What's up? Dr. William James here. Um, Back to talk to you guys about Jada Pinkett and the Red Table Talk she had with Snoop Dogg. I've watched the entire Red Table Talk. Um, it was 32 minutes. The clip I watched was 32 minutes. If you see a longer clip, you can let me know. Maybe I only saw part of it, but the clip I saw, I believe to be the full clip, 32-minute long clip. And we could talk about it. So, first things first, when they start off, they say it's not about proving who's wrong or who's right or who should apologize, or anything like that. That's what they said. But when you watch the whole interview, it turns out to be like about how Snoop was wrong. Like that's what I get. That's what I get from it. Now, I'm not gonna completely bash the interview as negative, but we can discuss it. I do like that they were able to sit down, as you know, Snoop being a black man, he sat down with three black women, three different generations: Jada Pickett and her daughter, and Jada Pickett and her mother. Um, so it's mother, grandmother, and child, or grandmother, mother, and child. Um, cool interview. There's a lot to take away from it though, because it gets deep. So they start off by saying that um, what I think was overlooked in the video. I'm gonna try and go back and go in order, but I want to get this out. What I think, no, what I know was overlooked in the video is how wrong Gayle King was, and the fact that she wasn't checked, like by someone else. So I just want to get that out the way. Few things stuck out to me though. Like, for example, in the video, Jada Pickett says to Snoop Dogg, two times that I really rooted for you in like life was when you stood up to Suge Knight and when you apologized to Gayle King. Now, Jada Pinkett Smith has been in the game. She's been in the industry a long time. A long time. Like early 1990s. And Snoop has been in the game a long time. Snoop had a lot of success, especially early on in his career. I think he sold like 10 million with Doggy Style or something like that, or 15 million, something crazy. You know, Snoop was legit, really successful with Dr. Dre really early on in his career. He also beat a murder charge, was on trial for murder at this point when, he was one of the hottest artists in the game, in the world. She said two times that I really rooted for you. That just stuck out for me. Like, why wouldn't you always be rooting for him? And even if there are highlights, you only have two, and those are your two? I just felt sort of funny it felt weird when she said that. Like, we should always be rooting for one another. Unless we have moments like Gayle King had, where it's like, no, you stop cheering and you got to pull her to the side because it's time for her to be, checked on the nonsense. Then, in the video, it sort of makes sense to me now why Snoop apologized. He said he got a call from his mother, and his mother didn't tell him he was wrong, but she was saying how, I raised you better than that, and blah blah blah. And so I get it. Gayle King is probably around the same age as his mother, and he probably looked at it as, oh, even if my mom stepped out of pocket, I wouldn't want someone calling her a B word. Because I feel like they were harping on that. They didn't say the specific part of him addressing Gayle King that they really disagree with until like later on. Jada Pickett's mother was like, the B word was what made her feel away. I talked about that in my first video, but anyway, So that's probably why he apologized. Like, yo, I wouldn't want someone calling my mama B even if she was out of pocket. My whole thing is, who is checking Gayle King? If it was my mother, I would come out publicly and say, yo, my mom is wrong. She shouldn't have said what she said in the interview. And I would have handled it, and then I would speak to my mom behind closed doors. But furthermore, this is such a big deal because this has been being done for years by Gayle King, where she's purposefully making an attack on black men, but she doesn't attack anyone else. And she's not being honest and true to herself morally. She doesn't have integrity. You could come at Kobe Bryant. I think it's a real big deal that Snoop Dogg's apology was February 12th. His apology was February 12th. That lets you know how early this video came out after Kobe Bryant's death, because Kobe died around January 26th, something like that. And Snoop had already apologized on February 12th. So this shows you how close to Kobe's death the video came out. No one around Gayle King is checking her. This is what happens in the black community. You need people around you who are going to check you when you are wrong. She has been wrong for years and no one's been checking her. No one's been calling her out on her BS. This is why you have this. Snoop, all he did was check her. Now, Snoop, in the Red Table Talk, it came out how extensive his relationship is with Kobe. He had a relationship with Kobe for 2 decades. He really got to know this man. They really had a friendship. So, if you see something like that soon after your friend's death, you're gonna have that type of reaction. Especially when this person is a black woman and she is an elder and she's been in the news for years. But she can't interview anytime there's a white suspect or there's accusations against one of these white actors or people in Hollywood like Harvey Weinstein. She's quiet. But then you're gonna bring up some old stuff from 2003, 17 years ago, that he wasn't even found guilty of. It didn't even go to trial. And then try to just poke until you find something. No. We gotta check people. Then, in the interview, he said that during the incident, he got a call from Puff Daddy and Tyler Perry. And he said, they didn't say he was wrong, but they said, we think you could say it like this, or this would have been better. My whole thing is, why didn't Puff Daddy and or Tyler Perry come out and say anything? Why didn't y'all come say it correctly? Where was their public statement about how wrong Gayle King was? All of the celebrities should have came out and checked her for how wrong she was. They making phone calls to Snoop behind closed doors. Maybe they're going to say, they didn't want to bash her publicly. Nah, you don't got to bash her publicly, but it needs to be publicly addressed because what she did was public. You can just say, like, yo, the sister Gayle King was wrong for doing what she did in the interview. And, we got to do better. That's all you gotta say. If you think, bitch or whatever was a big deal. But they didn't do that. And then Snoop said, yeah, we got a real brotherhood behind closed doors. That's the problem. Why does the brotherhood we have need to be behind closed doors? The brotherhood needs to be seen by the world. The black brotherhood needs to be seen by the world. They need to see us united. That's what needs to happen. And that's what's not happening, and that's the problem. That's why we all should come out and we should come together and show that we're united when stuff like this happens. Then towards the end of the table talk, she starts talking about Jada Pinkett starts talking about Tupac and how she got into it with Tupac because Tupac used to always say, bitch and hoe. How she wanted him to not be like on both sides, because you know how Tupac made positive songs and then not so positive songs, but keep your head up, Brenda's got a baby, keep your head up, Brenda's got a baby, songs like that. uh, Dear Mama. So she was like, what's up with the bitching and hoeing and stuff like that? And Tupac told her, like, yo, I'm not talking about you. I think it's fair to say that the terms bitch and hoe can rightfully apply to some people. There are women and there are females who act like hoes and maybe bitches, figuratively. Figuratively, bitch has a meaning. It's like you're not carrying yourself like a lady. You're not carrying yourself like a woman. You're not carrying yourself respectfully like any man or any person should respect you. So when you carry yourself a certain way, this is what happens. And I think the terms are fitting. Not necessarily to be demeaning, but you can say to someone, hey, stop acting like a bitch. Stop being a bitch. Stop being a hoe. Stop acting like a hoe. Those terms fit. They're fitting, and you can articulate yourself a certain way to make it meaningful to build someone up when they're doing certain things. Then they had Dr. Iana Vincent on there, and she said to Snoop, like, I appreciate you for apologizing for your behavior. Like, the term, like, your behavior. Like, first of all, you mean one thing, maybe one word in his response that you didn't agree with? Like, it seems like they were chastising him for checking someone who needed to be checked, and that's what I don't agree with. And then at the end of her statement, she says she would push us towards not saying or doing anything that doesn't contribute or facilitate healing. Well, what in the world did Gayle King's interview, what did her actions facilitate? How did her actions facilitate healing? You got Kobe Bryant's family, friends, fans, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people trying to heal from his loss in the black community, and she comes with this negative energy, this negative interview, pushing out an agenda that she doesn't do on white people in Hollywood, people like Harvey Weinstein who have 80 accusers. Where was your response to what Gayle King did? I did not see her public response to saying, Gayle, you're my sister, but we got to do better. We can't be doing this. We need to facilitate healing. We need to say and do things that facilitate healing. I know you're just doing your job, but that's not facilitating healing, and that could wait. That's how you publicly check someone. If you're trying to check someone and grow and be a community, you should do it. Also in the video, which I don't like, I think it was around the 30 mark or no, 19-minute mark, where Jada Pinkett said, oh, in the black community, we're still dealing with a lot of misogyny. No, we're not. Those are like isolated incidents. For the most part, we grow up with respect and respecting our women, and we respect our mothers. It's when people in society get polluted, the men and the women, where they start acting either thuggish or ruggish and ratchet and hood radish, where you see that disrespect come in. You don't see that with the wholesome families. You don't see that with people who are raised correctly and raised with that respect. And that's across the board. She isolated it to black culture. Now she can say that, oh, because they were focusing on black culture, but you see that much more. You see the misogynistic stuff much more in other cultures than you do in our culture. Now I'm not going to name any other cultures, but you just go take a look and you'll see how they don't even want to hear nothing from women, nothing at all. So it was a few different things to take away. You guys can watch the Red Table Talk for yourself, and you guys could see the talking points that I brought up. But it was just weird to me. Then they had Jamel Hill come on there, and she said what she said. Um, and she brought something up about she said black. I felt she said she felt where Snoop's response was coming from, because black men are made to feel like targets in society. We're not just made to feel like targets in society. We are targets in society. Maybe that's what she was trying to get at. But then she flipped it around and she said, then sometimes black men push that on black women because they're an easy target. That had nothing to do with it. It was nothing to do with Gail being a black woman. This wasn't about black man versus black woman. This was about Gail King, for years now, only attacking black men. This is about any black person who gives off coon energy. If you seem like you're only attacking us and you only want to do what's right as it pertains to us, and this wasn't even right. This was just all around wrong. Bringing up Kobe and the rape charge from 17 years ago, which he was never even found guilty of. That's just wrong. But this is about addressing someone when they're doing wrong and they're bringing off coon energy and they're being malicious towards their own. These people have to be checked. Regardless of age, regardless of gender, regardless of sex, whatever you identify as, we have to stop doing nonsense. And that's what it was about. It wasn't about a black man just pushing it off on a black woman because they're an easy target. No. It's about foolery. And if anybody would have came with that foolery, even if they were of a different race, even if it would have been a white man sitting up there asking those questions to Lisa Leslie, they would have got checked. But it would have been more expected. We can't be doing this to ourselves. We've been oppressed for years, for centuries. We can't continue to oppress each other. And that's what Gayle King is a part of, and that's why Snoop said what he said. And since Gayle King doesn't have any family or friends around her to check her, then that's why I went that way. A celebrity who has a personal relationship with Kobe came out and he said what he said. And you might not agree with some of the diction he used, but I don't think he was wrong. I don't even think he was wrong for using the B word. Like I said it before, her behavior wasn't humane. She's not acting like a woman. She's not acting like a queen. So figuratively, how do you let someone know that they're out of pocket and they're not being humane and they're not being respectful? And a lot in the Red Table Talk, they were talking about disrespect. When you meet disrespect with disrespect, I don't consider that like how can you consider, how do we view that? If you disrespected me first, who's wrong? Is it two wrongs? Or am I just checking you on your nonsense? So it was a lot for me in the interview. Like I think I said, I think they still never addressed how wrong Gayle King was and how this all could have been prevented. And they should have publicly checked her, because it is about who's right and who's wrong. And Gayle King was wrong, and she's been wrong for years for the nonsense she's pulling. So we need to have a community where we check one another, we call one another out on our BS, do it privately if you can. Like I said, with some things, if it's public, what Gayle King did was public, so it needed to be addressed publicly. I'll leave it at that. Y'all can let me know what y'all think. Like, comment, subscribe, share the video.